hit the button. We're off. So
What?
We're on. We're live.
Aye, but we've
We're recording.
not done the music yet.
No, we're not done the music.
Right.
This is the pre-pod.
Right.
This is the pre-pod. And
What?
Julie's not here. You can talk about anything.
Let's talk about Julie.
We've only got half an hour.
No, I know.
Just how good she is.
Why is she not here?
She's on a trip to England to visit her in-laws.
Oh.
But I don't want to say where she is for her situation rep. For her sit rep, I can't divulge exactly where she's going to.
Right.
So, but no, she's off. So, yeah, it's all a wee bit.
So it's just you. It's just like the old times.
It's just like the very first one.
We still don't know what we're doing.
I know. But
I know what I'm not doing in this one. I'm not swearing.
Okay. That's good. Have you got a joke?
I thought we'd finished the quote.
Well, or do you have any joke?
What about that one? I don't think...
I've got a Scottish joke.
Go ahead, go.
Okay. Nobody except anybody in Scotland will get this joke because it's my favourite joke. You've heard this a million times.
Yes, go on then.
What do you call a woman wearing a marigold glove? Goldie Hawn. Welcome to the Good Roundup. Good is a brand consultancy in the UK, and we come together to talk about brand and things that we like to talk about. Sometimes brand and digital and brand and architecture and other stuff, and we just have a chat about it. And you can tell that today is going to be an amateur hour because we don't have Julie here today, but I am joined by Chris.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Julie usually brings order and rhyme.
Yes, to other thing. But it's just you and I today, Chris, and we're going to talk about things that, when we went on a little trip.
Things that make you mad.
Things that make me mad.
Things that make you go... So
why?
In the notes you've prepared for this, you've called it Stop Digital Doing.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Well, actually, Julie and me, we talked about it before we went on a road trip last year.
Julie and me.
My mum, Julie, she's the best. She is the best. And Julie and I went on a road trip to the States, and we tried to explain to clients the integration of the digital work and the brand work we do because it was a little bit confused. And clients were very gracious with their time, and we sat and talked to them about how we bring brand and digital together. And what was quite interesting is we had 7 things that we talked about that we saw as problems, which you can see in the website. And what was quite interesting is when you started to talk to clients, they kind of went, oh, yeah, we recognise that. And then in line with that, we were on calls with clients. They had other agencies, I'm not mentioning any names, I'm sure they're lovely. But they were then kind of talking about doing digital reporting on digital activity, and that's what it was. And it was just pretty awful. It was just basically 40 slides of screenshots of Facebook posts. And I'm going off my nut, going, where's the money? Where's the money? How is this? And it was all, well, we've got lots of likes and we've lots of shares and we've got lots of click-throughs. But the kind of challenge for me was that this was all activity and there was no outcomes.
And so this was when you were in, because we did this in the UK. So you did this in the US and we did it in the UK when we went to visit some people, and it was the same kind of stuff. So is this what has prompted you to?
It's so easy to do a lot of digital things, and you can, within 5 minutes,
You're doing.
my granny can start selling soap, lavender soap or something on the internet through Google Ads, and Google have made it very easy for you to do that. It's fantastically easy. It's a fantastic tool. You can then, with Facebook, you can then start putting up your ads and selling granny's lavender soap there, which is great, and everything else. But when it comes to the reporting and comes to doing, you suddenly find that this is just doing stuff to do stuff, as opposed to kind of going, well, wait a minute. What is the strategy here? And a lot of times when people say to me, and to us, we're doing digital strategy. You're not doing digital strategy. You're doing digital doing.
Right.
You're just putting stuff out there and forgetting about it.
So is this how we link the two disciplines, if you like, brand and strategy? Because if you follow them back to the source, brand and digital, you follow it back to the source, they're unified by a single sort of strategy.
Yeah, because they've got to be, because ultimately more and more it's easy. I mean, it is easier to execute, and there's so much stuff that brand actually helps elevate all this digital stuff above the competition. And if you don't have a bit of brand in there, kind of with a tone of voice or at least expressing your values, then you're just doing Me Too stuff and just being something else. So it's just one of these things that a lot of clients, when you kind of gently point it out to them, they go, oh yeah.
Yeah, we're like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what we do. And so the element is then kind of going, how do you do the shift from doing to strategy? And that's something I've been focused on.
That is a big thing. So do you want to break that down a wee bit and talk about how that's done?
As ever, Chris, because you know I like to read a book.
It's been known.
And I like to then steal the things that are in the book.
As long as you say who wrote the book.
And, I can't remember, but I mean, you start off with Good Strategy, Bad Strategy, which is a great book. I'll put it in the show notes. And it's a very good book.
Rumsfeld or somebody?
Aye, I've got it here somewhere. But it's a really good book. And basically, he says a strategy is composed of 3 parts.
Yeah.
Bit of diagnosis, because you've got to understand what it is you're trying to do. And what is a strategy after all, if not trying to not fight, but overcome a challenge or maximize an opportunity. It's interesting. I like to go for the maximizing an opportunity rather than
whereas I would go for the challenge.
Yeah, I know. That's just where we are. And then you kind of come up with your approach about once you've diagnosed the challenge in front of you, what is the approach to kind of...
He calls it, does he not call it a guiding policy?
That's the third thing.
Oh, is it?
That's the third thing, because I don't really like the guiding policy, but he does, you're absolutely correct. And then the third part is, for me, it's implementation.
Or action, yeah.
Yeah, no, maybe you're right, I can't remember. Anyway, it's 3 stages.
Yes.
I've rewritten them because obviously I don't want people to think that I've stolen things out of his book.
Why not?
Because I've got to make some sense. But I think it's just in my kind of way of, it's the same things. It's 3 steps. It's diagnosis, approach, and then implementation.
So why is it so hard to do this for digital and not see it as a joined up thing?
I think there's always a nervousness about reporting on easy things. So everybody loves a big number. Marketing is addicted to the big number. So what we're going to have is we've got 100,000 likes, 100,000 likes, and everybody's really...
Yeah, so what you're saying is it's a misunderstanding of the accountability of the discipline.
Yeah, and it's easy to get... I mean, everybody wants a big number. Everybody loves a big number, and then you can quickly move on. That's why it
sounds like you're reporting.
Yeah,
sounds like
it sounds like you're doing stuff. So then what we're trying to do...
And if you don't know, and you don't know how to challenge that,
yeah,
then it goes on...
And it's weird. I've met some really incredibly bright people who can tear apart old school metrics, if you know what I mean. And then suddenly there's a slight paralysis around digital because they think they don't understand it because it's new and modern.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's absolutely the same principle.
You and I have had interesting chats about that over the years, haven't we?
Not with Julie.
No. Around asking the same questions about how it comes back to commercials.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like anything in marketing, right?
Yeah. And again, you can use it as a strategic tool rather than just a tactical tool. It is about, and sometimes, but you've got to understand what the challenge is with the business. Is it that nobody knows what your product is? Is it that the competitor is coming out with a feature that you've got? How do you meet that challenge?
So you're talking about, so are you getting into diagnosis?
I am,
now?
I'm kind of...
So let's do that.
Right,
so
okay.
Talk us through how you would go about diagnosing that.
Normally it'll come from an annual operating plan. So a lot of our clients around this time are going through their AOP and kind of going, well, what are the challenges for the next year? And we'd like to always ladder anything that we are doing from a digital perspective back up to the business goals.
Even if it's a tiny subset.
Yeah. And kind of go and understand what the digital contribution is to that overall business goal, because that's how you're going to get a promotion. That's how you're going to get a raise.
Understand the digital contribution to the key business goal.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And then then diagnose that and understand how you're going to contribute to that. I think that's the challenge.
So what give us some examples of what these could be?
You want to take, I hate percentages. Percentages hide things, but basically you'll get an AOP saying 5% increase in
leads,
and usually sales, so it'll be a bit more. So then then that backtracks into, so we've got to create 100,000 leads, and I kind of go, do you though? Do you? But that's the diagnosis, actually questioning that and kind of going, is it this? Is it this? Is it that? And actually trying to understand how are we going to hit that business goal at the top, and try and do a little bit of thinking, a little bit of chin rubbing, a bit of unconventional thinking, seeing what you've got to kind of go, well, this is how the digital contribution for to hit this challenge, to meet this.
And do you find that most clients are able to link their digital activity to that sort of, do you think that's the first stumbling block?
Yeah.
There's a big mind.
I don't know how you're going to get, like, say, increased sales by 500,000, $5 a year by getting 5,000 likes on Facebook. I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know how you're going to do it by going, this is the most liked post on Twitter. I don't know how that hits your business goal. And I think it's asking those, it's not even that tough question, it's a fact. And I think this is where the clever, some of the clever people kind of, as soon as you say it to them, they go, well, yeah, of course. And how, that's spend, because you should never do any organic, it should all be paid. How does that spend make us more money? And it's not just by getting 5,000 likes. Now, there will be people out there will go, it's awareness, and that has a part to play. And then I think there's
long as you know you're doing it for awareness.
But even then, I think you can, there's very interesting things going on just now about share of search. In theory, any awareness should then, if you're getting a lot of awareness, you should see your share of search increase. So there's always something that you should be able to tie it back to that's meaningful, as opposed to fluff or bollock metrics, which is something there. And again, it's kind of, these are all mystifying numbers a lot of the times, because what is a like better than somebody talking to you back? A response, or is it better than a share? A share is always better than a like because it's organically spread. But again, who cares?
That's where you fall down the rabbit hole, isn't it?
Yeah.
How people interact with things, and
and that's why you've always got to pull it back and go, but this is the strategic goal that we're trying to hit for the business, because this is how we're going to get more budget next year. This is how we're going to get a bonus. This is how we're going to get a promotion if we hit the budgets. That's the most important thing. So, and it could be that diagnosis is that you need more leads. It might be a number of things. How do you get that? But then what you've got to do is just understand and accept the challenge in front of you, and then, as he says in the book, design a way of coordinating and focusing actions to deal with that challenge. That's what you've got to do. You've got to think.
So this is you into approach now.
An approach is just understanding the challenge ahead of you. So you've kind of got to then work it. And this is where brand comes in.
Once you've defined your kind of...
Here's the challenge. It's then how we're going to solve that challenge and how we're going to get past it. Work out what the human problem is in the first instance, which you should already know by your product. What is the human problem that you're trying to solve? What are the functional benefits? What are the emotional benefits? And then how do you then start to build a campaign around that? What is the things that you're going to do? Where does that campaign live? Who are we talking to? All those things tie into me for the approach.
And that's interesting. The human part of it's quite interesting, because that links very closely to brand.
Yeah.
Because brand solves human problem, I suppose, gets involved in that space.
Absolutely. And it's got to be part of the mix. Otherwise, it's just another bland message with it from another bland company. And that's what you're trying to get a little bit of cut through the noise. And that's where brand is really important. And just to kind of, build on your codes, and just take it further up in people's minds. That's what you're trying to do.
So give us an example of that understanding of the approach. Can you?
I mean, it's just mapping it. You've got all these resources. You've got all the resources in front of you, and that will be your brand, and that will be your logos, and that will be all sorts of stuff. What you want to say. What you've got to understand is, like, say you've got a headphones, right? You've got a set of headphones that you're going to put on the market. You've got to understand that you're not going to be able to beat Apple. So you've got to then understand how you're going to compete in that space, because Apple are always going to outspend you. They're going to have just a bigger salience that people know them. People will type Apple headphones before they type yours. So how are you going to?
What is your approach going to be?
Yeah, to kind of beat that. And what is the thing that is what is the human problem that you're solving? What's the emotional benefit of having this headphone over that headphone, and just trying to make sure that you're building that into any digital campaign that you've got. And that will be from once you hit your homepage or landing page, once you actually see the ad, what is that that's going to help lift it up a little bit? And also understanding that you're on a journey with this. It's not, we deal with some clients who at the beginning think as soon as you trigger somebody, like they see an ad, that they then go to the homepage and then they're going to buy.
But none of us behave that way.
No. Yeah. And Google have done some really interesting work, and they call it the messy middle, where basically what you go through is you kind of, and this is our own behavior, you get triggered by, I would like to do something. So you'll go and search for it, or you might see an ad for it, and then you'll be taken to a page, and then you will evaluate and then you will explore and then evaluate. And you're caught in this messy middle where you'll then go to maybe another 6 competitors and do all that work. And that's where brand really does help lift up, because what you've got to then do is mention not just the functional benefits, because a pair of headphones are pretty much the same, and they'll be maybe a little bit nicer and a bit shinier or a bit this or a bit that, but it's actually more about the emotional benefit, about what you're trying to solve and how this is solving a human problem. Otherwise, you would never have another pair of headphones because there's already headphone manufacturers. Why have you decided to make headphones and then make that part of the story? The brand story becomes part of the campaign story.
So that messy middle is quite a nice way of summing up the sort of customer journey that goes from initial, the start of the journey to the ultimately the purchase.
Yeah, and it's
round and round.
It goes round. Yeah, it'll go from exploration to evaluation to evaluation till it gets to the point. And what you've got to understand is, what is somebody going to come to my site for the third time for? Because they will go for the third time. I do it all the time. I'm wanting to buy a bit of software just now.
And are you conscious of your own journey in that process?
Yeah. As soon as you start seeing it, and I'm there going, you can't. Oh no, I'll go somewhere else and have a look. And I'm doing it. I'm looking at YouTube videos, going, this is quite expensive bit of software, and it's for my own personal use. And I'm going to just look at some YouTube videos to see if it does something else that maybe I don't know. And then they're mentioning another. Basically, if you want to make $100 out of me, make a note building app. I buy them all. I just buy them all because one of them will make me more organised one day when they actually just do all the work for me.
And them a lot richer.
Oh, yeah. But so I'm going to, at the moment it's Rome, and I'm looking at Rome and going, this is fantastic, this is really good. And then somebody's going, yeah, but you should have a look at Notion, and then you have a look at Notion. And I'm going back and forth. I'm in that loop. And at some point I will get a trajectory out of that, and I will buy something.
What will trigger that?
Some event? It will be probably the end of the free period that I'm on, and then I'll have to commit. But while I've got that free period, every night before I go to bed, I'm looking at videos, and then I'm going to sites to kind of see.
So what you're saying is brands should be conscious of that and actively trying to play a part in untangling or triggering you to purchase at that point. What is it they can do? And
also, what's interesting, how much you can't control, because I'm going to YouTube to evaluate as well on your product as much as I'm going to your site.
You're looking at different sources of truth.
Yeah. So it's really interesting, and I'm very aware of the
job that you
loop.
do.
Yeah, I'm in the infinity loop of that. And so it's making sure that it's not just one and done, and making sure that every piece of comms that you're putting out there is doing a job. It's trying to get past an objection. If you know that your headphones are the most expensive headphones on the planet, you at some point have got to justify that part of your journey and saying, well, these are very expensive, but they're also the most comfortable. And we believe that comfort is really important to music. That's the message that you're always trying to do. So every piece of comms is trying to get over an objection that may be in the minds of somebody else.
You understand the approach. You understand what you're trying to do, the challenge you're trying to overcome. Is it simply then a case of taking some action?
Well, it's the implement. Yeah, once you've kind of got it all out and you understand your campaign, you understand what all the benefits are, and laddering up to that. That's once you're kind of ready to ladder up, then you've got to implement, and that's led by the diagnosis and by the approach. And then it's all about creative media and any additional assets that you're going to need to actually make this thing happen and put that there. And what then the next kind of thing is, once you've kind of got that running, and for me that's all about. There's some very clever people who will do all the media. It's a fascinating subject, but it's one I'm not.
Do you mean media buying?
Buying, yeah, all that kind of stuff. That's not my bag, and I've got some input because I've always got an opinion on everything. But there's some clever people who do that. The next thing I'm interested in is once the implementation has happened, it's the reporting.
Well, before we get to that, do you want to talk a little bit about the creative or not? I mean, it's always interesting watching. You do have a view on the creative, and it's quite often different from the design team, the way that they see the world. And talk a little bit about that, some of the stuff that how your perspective is different and why. So
recently, I was talking to somebody who was saying, listen, here's the website that we're building, and we were looking at it and going, now this page is an oasis of calm, and we want people to feel like it's really calm. And this page is more cultured, and this is a more cultured page. And I'm going, fuck off. Nobody's thinking of it like that. People devour this stuff. So the least you can do is make it readable and easy to digest in chunks. That it's the age-old thing about websites is that there is no such thing as too much content. There's only the wrong content. So if you've got a lot of content, as long as it's the right content for that time in the journey, you can have 2,000 words there. People will say, well, there's too much content. Well, I don't know what that means. Mm-hmm. If it's the wrong content, then it's too much. Mm-hmm. But if it's the right content, there's never too much. And so when you kind of but it's also then about breaking that down, make it easy to read, scannable to find that point, and that point you're on your third visit, the thing that you're trying to find. So
your perspective is not one of aesthetics, it's one of, a sort of understanding the customer in that journey.
Yeah, design for me, and again, people will argue this, design for websites, especially mobile now, is kind of heightened. This design lasts 1.5 pages. Mm-hmm. You just want to make sure it feels comfortable and navigatable, and then after that is about how readable it is.
So that's why there's a healthy kind of sometimes friction between you and the creator, and it always ends up with a better piece of.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's absolutely, and the guys should be right to push it to be the best thing it can be, but so can I. You know, I mean, for me, it's design doesn't last long on the web. It's not about how it looks; it's how it works. Which again is the old cliche. I'm spouting them all out.
I think that's one of the things that we're able to do quite well in this business, which is balance the two, because there is an a good, deep understanding of both disciplines.
Yeah, and I think the journey that we've been on in the last 4 or 5 years has been great. And working with Mike is good because Mike gets it, and there's always a little push. Well, I'll kind of go, can we make this a little less designed? I mean, where Mike and Jamie, who's our front end developer, are really good at are just is the craft of how it gets read. It's all tight. The typography is really tight, which is something that gets kind of lost, which I'll sing their praises from the top of this building because they're very good at what they do.
So yeah, that was interesting. That was a little sidebar into creative, but you were talking about this is about reporting.
Right? Yeah. I think once you get the implementation and it gets done and it's out there and everybody's happy and you've got all your assets, and it's then reporting. And I think, again, it's always trying to pull back the report, going, what we are trying to do is earn $500,000 more than we did last year. The digital contribution of that is by doing this, and then you report on that.
How is it doing?
Yeah. If you see anything going, well, we got 10,000 followers last week, you just go, yep, so what? Next. And you're looking for something that has a tangible impact on the challenge that you've set out, that the business needs to get over. That's what it's got to do. And my favourite thing, and again, because I steal from everybody, is Avinash Kuzak, who's a great guy from Google, who's kind of, when he's looking at reports are about what's happened. And so many times we sit in meetings and it's about, this is what happened last month. And then at the end of it, they kind of go, so see you next month. And you're going, but what have we learned from the last month? What that is relevant for moving on? And so the 3 questions that Avinash uses that we put in our reports is basically, what happened in the last period that concerned us? And that can sometimes be something that was almost too good to be true. So, but it's not necessarily about being negative. And then once you report on that, going, well, what are we going to do to address that? So if you think that there's a certain campaign that maybe not have performed as well as you think, then you kind of go, well, what we're going to do is maybe change the placement or the X or the Y or the Z, or put the call to action at the top of the page. That's what we're going to do to address it. And then the final question is, well, what do we expect the outcome of that going to be? Well, we expect that we're going to get more downloads or more sales or more whatever it is. But those 3 questions, what happened in the last period that concerned us, what are we going to address it, and what is the outcome of that change going to be? They keep you honest. And that keeps you on a continual improvement path of just looking at things. And sometimes they can be little tweaks. That could just be moving a call to action up to the underneath the headline, or it could be dropping it, but it just makes sure that you're using the past to guide the future. And that is amazingly so many times that we just don't see that kind of, those 3 simple questions being asked to make sure that that money is being well spent.
So
forward.
Because digital, I mean, you mentioned at the beginning that it's so easy to be doing, and there's a confusion of doing, and there's an awful lot of it. Is it your view that in order to make the stuff more meaningful, should you be doing less but doing it better? Should you be walking before you can run? Because there is a tendency to think, well, let's do all of these things. There's so many channels, there's so many options to just turn on and off. and many clients want to kind of boil the ocean before,
Yeah, I think
and
that
it just leads to confusion. Is that a sensible strategy?
Yeah, I think that ties into the diagnosis and approach. If you find that all the people that you're talking to are on Instagram, why would you go on Facebook? And also, Facebook is frankly for people being pictures of people being sick down themselves,
their dinner,
QAnon conspiracies, and everything else. And again, there's going to be somebody who'll say, you know what, we've done really well on Facebook, and what we do, and fantastic. But I think generally it will be good for some things, and it won't be good for other things. And it's actually part of the challenge, and part of the diagnosis, and part of the approach is kind of going, where are the people that we want to talk to? Where are they, and how? Because you just don't have enough money.
Yeah.
And it's always good to kind of hit, we're going to hit them on YouTube, and we're going to hit them on Instagram, or we're going to hit them here, and we're going to hit them on Google, and we're going to hit them on YouTube. And that's good because you're going to spread the budget, but you're better off spending the money where people are. And YouTube's great, Google's great, because there's intent. If you know that I'm searching for, not that I ever would because I can't drive because I'm like the Queen, but if I was driving, if I was searching cars, Aston Martin on YouTube or Google, you pretty have a good idea that if you've got a product that fits in that mold, then you can advertise to me. So it makes sense. But,
Well, you often bemoan the fact that people are spending money in the wrong space, and it's about saving money as well as spending money, isn't it?
Yeah, but again, the reason they're spending, but it goes back to the reporting. If in Facebook you're getting all those leads that are actually contributing, knock yourself out, and again, what have we seen? What happened the last week, the last period that concerned us? We never got any leads from Twitter.
We spent a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, what do we do? Do we change the ad, or do we cut the spend? Mm-hmm. What do we do? And that's why it keeps you honest. So by all means, start off, but very quickly.
Learn.
Very quickly, kind of learn what's going on, and be prepared to be wrong.
Yeah, you talk about failing fast, don't you?
Yeah. It's just if it's fast enough to set up, it's fast enough to change.
Very good.
Like that.
That's good. It's always interesting to talk about stuff that's broader than just the brand stuff, and it's a wider. It's a wider.
That's
context.
why, dare I say, I've been at Good for nearly 40 years now, because it isn't just about the doing. It is about the combination of brand strategy, business challenges, and digital, and putting them together. It's not just a kind of, we need to sell shit. You're going to go, okay, well, that's fine. Anybody can do that. We go, whoa.
Let's have a think about that. Yeah.
What's going to go on? What's going to happen? So then we pull that back. It's not just kind of, yeah, okay, we can do it. When do you want the ads to run? When do you want them to finish?
Shall we just do some ads?
Yeah. And that's...
It's not about the craft of doing ads. It's a slightly broader challenge than that. Yeah.
And we like to think that we add value to the media teams that are doing that, to the client and everything else. And, we'll have our... I'm not short of an opinion, but strong opinions loosely held, and we'll go in about that, and we'll talk to the guys and try and make it better. But it's not just about the doing.
I think we've done not bad with it.
Sorry, I know. The cousin Greg of podcasts.
We believe you said that, not me. So that's a joke about Succession. There we are.
That's it. We're done.
Are we done?
So
it's a wrap.
Yeah. So yeah.
Join us next
strategy.
week.
Yeah, we'll have Julie back. Hopefully,
might just be Julie and you next week.
Well, no. Julie was raging that we were doing this by ourselves. She was furious.
I told her it was your idea. When are we getting the next guest on?
Right, we've got to find one. If anybody's listening and wants to join us, please email stuart@wearegood.com, and I'll set up a time.
A poorly researched.
Yeah, if you've got anything to sell, or anything to sell, any B2B products you want to sell, by all means, get in touch, and we'll get you sitting in for 5 minutes, and you can just tell us about stuff. That would be magic.
Happy days.
Right. Okay.
Grant, thanks. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.